This is a special episode of Norfolk Notables. I'm Anne Marie Battistone, and this is NCTV in Norfolk, Massachusetts. Thanks very much for coming. I have two guests, both of whom live in Norfolk, which I didn't know. Kevin Roche is with me, and he's one of the people that keeps the community supper going and has been with it for a long time. And also with me is Jon Cox, who is the owner of the Gavel in Wrentham, who provides the very delicious food that we have twice a month for the community suppers in the Grange. Oh, listen, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, and Kevin, as always. This is not Kevin's first appearance. He was on for his work with the breast cancer walks. So now, Kevin, tell me something. How did you get involved with this? You didn't originally start it, did you?
No, Jeff Chalmers started it. Where I'm a Grange member, I was assisting him in setting it up and running the dinners.
And then when he left, you picked up the torch.
Yep.
And what actually do you do over there?
A lot of everything. There is a couple people that assist me in setting up the tables and serving the dinners and everything. But I set up the tables, and I contact Jonathan to get the meals and all that. And afterward, I break down and close everything up.
Who originally contacted you? Was it Chalmers?
It was Jeff.
Were you friendly with him, or did he just?
I was through the town. We had our kids were the same age, so I'd see him at the ballparks and stuff. And he approached me. I think it was 2016, with the idea of doing a community supper first and third Thursday of the month.
Well, as Kevin put it, it's for people who need a hot meal, right?
Yep.
Now, but originally when it started out, it was much smaller, wasn't it?
It was, and originally when it started out, that was the idea behind it, is to give some people in the community a meal that they might need, if their times are tough. But then it kind of transformed into, fortunately, we found out a lot of people around here are okay, are doing all right. So it kind of turned into more of the community feel, where if you're driving by with your son after a ball game, you want to come in for something to eat, or if you just want to have some good conversation and hang out with some like-minded people. So it really turned into a true community supper for people to get out.
So it was pretty decent of you to stay with it when the numbers went up.
Yeah, no, it's we talk about it all the time, but for me, I can't take a lot of the credit. My staff,
Yes.
Kevin gives me the numbers, I give it to my staff, and they prepare the meals, and what I do is I deliver it.
This is extremely generous. I mean, everybody comments on that.
Yeah, I think as a small business owner, if you can't, that's why you do it, right? You do things to try and give back, and fortunately, we're in a position to do that. So yeah, we love it.
Now, Kevin, you're not the only. I mean, obviously, you're not the only one over there. There's some other people there that run the actual meal.
Yep.
Now, who is that? Maureen and
Jill.
And Jill.
And sometimes Maureen's sister helps out, and she's got a couple other people that help her out in serving.
So now your numbers have gone. How much would you say the numbers have gone up, Kevin?
Well, when we first started, sometimes it was 8, 15 and everything, but it's consistently between 35 and 50 on the average dinner.
Well, that's quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's quite a. And you pick them up, or you return the plates and everything and the pans. You take them back and you bring them over.
No, he drops off in the warming boxes and everything. Then he picks them up afterwards to bring them back to the restaurant. So.
Now, were you always in restaurants, or was this a new venture for you?
I was in the corporate world, and then in 2015, I kind of said I wanted to make my own path. So I bought the restaurant, and 7.5 years later,
Well, weren't you leery of going into something that you weren't already familiar with?
I was, and people say, it was a risk. I just did it. Yeah, I think I was young enough where I could take the chance. So
because there's a lot to know in terms of getting the cooks, getting all the flatware and the dishes and all of that, the insurance and everything.
It is. It's a ton. I joke with my parents that I learned more in 2 years owning a restaurant than I did in 4 years of college. But I had a lot of help. Great staff. Christine, my general manager, has been with me from the start. So we learned the hard way, but we learned. And like I said, 7.5 years later, it's doing well.
Oh, it's doing more than well. I mean, it's a tremendous success, I would say. I mean, you have that beautiful, and it's a beautiful setting, which really was never taken advantage of. I mean, it was the 2 ice cream places, but you've got all that space down below. And at some point, it seems to me they had things going on the grass down at the bottom of the steps.
Yep.
Are you still doing that?
Yep. So we have some turf down there. We have ping pong for the kids and cornhole, and do live bands all weekend. Every Thursday we have bands. We have a little satellite bar, TVs down there, so yeah, it's a cool place to hang out.
So, so Kevin, you have had other experience in running meals, really running them. The Thanksgiving meal.
Yes.
Now, for that, when they cook where do they?
The Medfield Sportsman Club. We have a commercial kitchen down there. We do all the food, cooking, and preparation down there.
Now, do you cook as well?
I assist.
Because that's quite an undertaking.
Yes. The gentleman that helps me with the Thanksgiving dinner, he went to Johnson & Wheels, and he has cooking experience, and he knows how to put the right seasoning on and the right temperature to cook everything. So he cooks a very delicious meal there.
Oh, it is. It's really.
I give a hand cutting up all the vegetables and doing a lot of the prep work.
But that must be a pretty big undertaking, isn't it?
There's about 7 of us that do it every year. Originally, the reason I started it, because it seems like they serve Thanksgiving dinners on the Saturday before, the Saturday afterwards. And I didn't think that was a true Thanksgiving dinner. I says, I'm willing to give up my Thanksgiving to prepare the meals so other people can enjoy the Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving.
Right, it's true. And then people will always show up whether they've already eaten or they're going to eat the next day, because it's quite good what you have over there.
The first one, there was only 8. Then I went to 12, and last year I had almost 30.
Wow. Great. Now, how do they decide over at your restaurant what to send over?
We kind of try and rotate it.
Do you have a certain set number of meals, or it's not anything that you actually serve in the restaurant, is it?
No, well, I mean, some of the stuff is, but no, we try and keep it different. Kind of some pasta dishes, some chicken Alfredo dishes, always have a salad, always have vegetables. So we try and make it well-rounded, but we also try and not do the same thing week after week. So I leave that up to the chefs and say, what do you guys want to do this week? And like I said, they do a lot of the work.
Is there more than one chef over there?
The full kitchen, but Ronnie's our head guy, so Ronnie really takes the lead on it.
Now, you speaking of expansion, I mean, you really expanded quite a bit over there, because I remember when the woman was there, it was by herself. It was just like a little tiny kitchen. So what did you do over there?
Yeah, so when we first took it over, the kitchen, I think it was probably about 200 square feet total, if that. So all the hot stuff is done upstairs, and then down below we redid the whole basement. So we got our salad units, convection ovens, panini machines, all that. So the poor kids have to run up and down.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you how to done later.
Day, but the kitchen was tight. So they do an amazing job. I think I did the math, pumping out a meal every 45 seconds some days.
Really?
Yeah. So they hustle. They're hard workers.
My God. But you'd have to have more than, you must have a chef and a sous chef, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so up on the line, yep, and then down below we have all our salad units, all the pizza makers and all that type of thing. So.
And you said that you took over the part of the place that was next door?
Yeah, so Printmasters was next door, so right about the time COVID was going on, they had left, so we took over that space, expanded it, and it really came out nice. It kind of feels like it's always been there, but that added another 40 seats to the place, so that was a big change.
Oh, I guess so when I was there, oh yes, right, exactly. You used to go in and the bar was not there originally, was it?
Well, the bar was on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
It's got 2 doors in the front, that whole left-hand side.
Yes,
that was a wall, and now
right,
it's
right.
mirrored
It was
glass.
really, yes, it was very small over there, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, you look like you've gotten some furniture in there that looks sort of distressed. Was that intentional that you got those?
A guy made that up on the North Shore. And kind of the feel of the place is we want everyone to feel comfortable.
Yes.
So it's kind of an open theme.
It doesn't look old-fashioned,
you come with
too.
your girlfriends, have some wine, you can come with your wife, you can come with your buddies. That was kind of the feel we were going for, something that everybody would feel comfortable in.
Now, you have an upstairs also, don't you?
Just an office. Yeah, there's offices.
Because I remember the election with Dooley and Vaughn. I guess they were up. I heard they were upstairs.
They were. Yeah, they
I don't know if both of them. I don't think both were upstairs. I think it was just Dooley that was upstairs.
Yeah, the team was up there. Yeah, so they had their wrap-up party or after party there. So yeah, they took over what they call it, the war room or whatever. I got them a 6-pack and left. I didn't know what was going on. They were on the phones and counting and yeah.
Now, Kevin, tell me, has it always been a quiet? Of all those evenings over there, been quiet? Has anything ever unusual ever happened? Anything funny or any?
Nope, very quiet and peaceful. The way I like it.
So no arguments broke out or any kind of anything, no.
Nope.
That's good. Well, thank goodness for that.
Exactly. Last piece of chicken.
Yeah.
Now the desserts, where do you get those, Kevin? They don't come from.
No.
No, Maureen gets those, so can't say. I think you get some at Shaw's or Stop and Shop or some Dunkin' Donuts, donate some donuts and munchkins, and they get some brownies. But
So now, so Jonathan, when he asked you, were you sort of taken aback? I mean, that's sort of because you had just started, right?
Yeah, I was about a year in.
Were you a little? I mean,
No,
it is a lot. I think it's a lot to ask.
No, it's.
I mean, it's
like I keep
I mean,
saying,
of
the
somebody
staff
who's
was-
a new restaurateur, and then
To me, it was an opportunity to get out to the public, and kind of let them know who we were and what we
that's
were
true.
about. So it was a win-win. If we can give back a little bit and also get some press out, some goodwill out of it, and then we just kind of rolled it. Then COVID hit, and we kind of had to take a pause.
Yep.
And then Kevin called me a year and a half ago,
Yep.
and he said he'd love to get it going again. And I said we're all in.
oh,
So I look at it, like I said, as a small business owner in a great community, Rentham, Norfolk, Plainville. I think that's why you do it, to give back. Have the opportunity to give back.
I think now people from out of town are coming.
yeah, there are some people from Rentham that are coming, but
He was a colleague of mine at West Roxbury High School, and I can't even think of his name now. Otto. Do you know him?
I don't know personally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think some people are coming from Franklin too.
Yep, it's possible. We're not going to. He's got a restaurant. He lives in Norfolk. Got a restaurant in Franklin and Rentham. So.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we opened the raillery 2 years ago.
Oh, that's
Or a year and a
right.
half ago. Yeah.
Now, how did you come up with that? How did you come up with that name?
Yeah, Ken was just asking about that. So my
You must
business
know some
partner's
French.
wife- Well, it means banter and good humor.
Yep.
So that's kind of how me and my business partner met. Was kind of at the end of the bar, just having some laughs, and with everything going on in the world today, we said we just want a place where people can go be themselves and not have to worry about people judging them or whatever. So really means kind of busting on each other.
Yeah, having a good time and noise. And,
Laughs and.
So that's a very different restaurant from the Gavel.
It is.
Very
It's
different feel.
It is a different feel. It's a little higher end.
Right.
But it's still got that. I feel it still has that attraction to everybody. Like I said, you can go watch a ball game. The girls
Yes.
can go out for some wine and some appetizers. You can go with your wife or husband. So it does. The look is a little different, but I think the overall feel is the same.
But you're
And then a lot of the meals for the Grange come out, community supper come out of there as well. So we
really?
Yeah, we kind of alternate.
Of course, you have a different chef, obviously.
Yeah. So we kind of alternate, and that's a much bigger kitchen, so it's a little easier to pump the food.
The
up.
food seems to be more sophisticated at the Ryery.
At the raillery, yeah, it's I'd say it's a little step up, but not
Yeah.
much. The steak tips are still the same steak tips, and those fly the chicken wings and the chicken tenders and the pizzas, and so it's there's some similar feel.
Well, now, what's the hardest thing about owning? My brother actually owned a restaurant at one time, and it was very difficult, and it didn't last for long. But it was very complicated getting the right chef, getting the people to work there, the chairs and the tables, and all of those things that you don't think about when you go into a restaurant. But what would you say has been what has been the hardest thing for you setting that up? Most challenging.
I think it is the staff. We have an amazing staff, over 100 employees throughout both restaurants.
Really?
But they range from a 16-year-old young adult for their first job to a 40, 50-year-old adult, whether it be bartending or doing some office stuff. So it's dealing with those different personalities, and the culture's kind of changed a little bit, especially coming out of COVID. It's definitely more of a challenge to get the numbers, to get the people that you need.
Even now?
Yeah, it is, especially in the kitchen. But we get through it, and we have a great core, and they always step up. But I would say the restaurant business is always changing. Every day is a different challenge or a different obstacle that comes up. But I think it's just dealing with the staff, and they're great. It's just a lot of different personalities going through there.
So I mean, that was a big step up, because that's a fairly big place over there in.
Yeah, 190 seats.
And so once you got. How long after you got the Gavel going did you open over there?
We opened there February of 2022, so it was about five and a half years after. And we wanted to do it sooner, but it was obviously we were up against COVID, so we weren't really rushing to open up when there was nothing to open.
Right.
So we opened up in February of 22.
Now, Kevin, have you gotten? You must have gotten to know quite a bit. I mean, you know just about everybody anyway. But have you forged any new, I don't know, friendships or contacts with people from the ones that come every week, every twice a month?
I'm quite busy doing things around, assisting, getting the food, and doing this and doing that. So I don't get a whole lot of opportunity And I don't want to interrupt with everyone that's going there to socialize with all their friends. I don't want to go over there and intrude and just start speaking to them, because they're there for the camaraderie to see all their friends.
Right. Yes, I suppose that is true. But I mean, you know so many people anyway.
Yep,
it really wouldn't be an intrusion.
Well, I do go over and say hi to people, and I do chat with some people that know me, and I know them as well.
So you're a volunteer extraordinaire in Norfolk with the walks and the Thanksgiving dinner. How did you get the Thanksgiving dinner started? Did you feel that? I mean, what made you think that something like that was needed?
Well,
and also the community supper. Well, I guess that was Chalmers' idea originally.
Right, and when he wasn't going to do it anymore, I thought it was a very good thing when I was helping him. A lot of people really don't need the meal. It's about getting together to socialize with other people. Most of the people are elderly people that live alone, that really look forward to going out and meeting up with their friends and having dinner, where normally they wouldn't go out to dinner to a restaurant and have dinner with. There's one table that puts extra chairs and there's 12 people sitting at the one table, where most of the standard tables have 8.
Which, is that where Debbie is and Paul Burns, or is it the one behind them?
It's the one behind them.
Okay.
The one that Bucky sits at, and Shirley Cronin and all them. Right.
Now, so when you took over, when you started with the Thanksgiving dinner, what was the impetus for that?
Well, like I said, they had various.
How long has that been going?
I would probably say 6 to 8 years. During COVID, one year I don't think I did it. In the following year, I had deliveries. So I had everyone call in with their address, deliveries or pickups, and I had 4 or 5 different people that went out and did all the deliveries.
That was unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot of work. I forgot all about that.
Yep, I had one person or 2 people in North Attleboro ask for it, in Franklin, Norfolk.
Were those the meals that you were taking around during the week? Is this what you're talking about? You're talking about the Thanksgiving?
No, this is the Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you were also sending meals to people's homes during COVID.
Yep.
And you went on for about 2 years.
Yes.
And I remember saying to Cindy, I said, for goodness sake, I said, how long are you going to keep doing this?
Yeah.
And you were cooked yourself,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And you got up to what, 15 people at one point?
It was about 12, then it went back down to about 8. 8 or 10 was kind of manageable. When it got to 12 or 13, it was made it a little more challenging.
And you, how long have you been finished with that?
The first of the year I ended in January of this year.
I mean, that was really, and who financed that for you? I mean, different people gave you money occasionally.
Right, and the Friends of the Seniors helped out a little bit with it after it got going. They helped out on a regular monthly basis, but it was still quite an expense to buy the food and the takeout containers and everything.
So did you ever actually get covered for that expense or not, or did it sometimes come out of your own?
It did come out of my own pocket quite a bit, but like he says, giving back is part of being in business.
Right, that's true. So now, Jonathan, but you went into this without really knowing about the restaurant business.
Yeah, I never.
So who was it that actually helped you along? Was it the chef that you hired, or?
No,
and how did you
initially hired a chef, but then I did hire a guy, Paul, who was in the restaurant business for a long time, so he was my lead. But yeah, I never bartended, I never waitered, I never cooked.
So when you were trying to hire a chef, how did you even know what? I mean,
asked around. Yeah, so I went to a lot of the food vendors and said, because those sales.
And did you have an ad, or did somebody come to you, or
no,
did you?
It was word of mouth.
You advertised for them?
No, it was word of mouth. A lot of the food vendors. I mean, they're in hundreds of restaurants a week selling their product, and so I kind of relied on them to give me some feedback and who has the best reputation. And our original chef's not still with us. And then after that, you get your team and you kind of see who can step up. And Ronnie's been at the Gavel for 6 years out of the 7, which is great. And William over at Railery's been there since the opening. So I believe that, especially when it comes to the kitchen staff, you treat them well, treat them with respect, you pay them right, and they'll stay. They're loyal. They'll stay with you.
Now, what did you do before that? You said you were in
sold beer. Yeah, I worked for Heineken.
Oh.
So I was in a lot of bars, but I never owned any of them. Yeah.
And what did you actually do then?
I was a sales manager, so I worked with the distributors.
So you sort of had a little bit of a lead in with that,
yeah,
didn't
so
you?
I was familiar, but like you said, I had no idea what I was getting into.
So was it kind of a rocky start for you?
First year was, there was a lot of turnover in the front of the house, in the kitchen as well. Yeah, it was, I wouldn't say disaster, but it was a steep learning curve.
Oh, definitely.
But
yes.
the support of my family, my parents and sisters, and we got through it and we learned. And like I said, Christine's been with me for pretty much from the start, and she was young at the time. She was 18, 19, so she stepped up, and we kind of joke like we learned the hard way. We made every mistake you could make, but we got through it.
And did you, now you named it because of the Rentham District Court?
Yeah, the gavel, yeah. So we kind of come up with names. And
what else did you consider, do you remember?
it was funny, 'cause I was telling a friend of mine owned a restaurant in Walpole, and I had a son Island at the time, and Scarlett, it's like, he said, no one cares about your kids. No one cares you name a place after your kids. So he actually came
Well, that's
up,
the way they name the streets after their children.
Yeah,
if
streets,
the towns let them do
South
that.
Street Tavern. In that, he's like, nobody cares. They got to come up with something different. So we were thinking, the jury box, the judge, the chambers.
Oh.
Then we came up with the gavel.
Oh, the jury box.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty clever.
So a couple different things, but the gavel kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, Kevin, who was working there? Maureen's working there, and there's just really the three of them that are.
Maureen
and Jill.
And Jill and Kathy.
Yes. Now Jill is the one that sends out the emails.
Right.
So I wonder.
She takes all the reservations and just gives me the numbers. I relay it over to Jonathan.
So I wonder if we can put that on the bottom third. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
To give her email. So if people aren't getting the email, then they would, or maybe really don't know a lot about it.
That'd be fine.
They could put Jill on there to contact her.
Yep.
And it's every 2 weeks on the which Thursday is it, or the
First and the third.
first and the third Thursdays?
For the next couple of months, it's going to go down to 1 during the summer. Then back in September, I hope to get it back to the 2.
Now there's a lot of work to do in terms of conforming to the different health standards, right?
Yes.
So you have to. And well, same in the
Yes.
formal restaurant, but
Yeah.
in your case, do they oversee a little private thing like that more than say a public restaurant, a regular commercial restaurant?
The Board of Health said he wants us to be up to the same standards as the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you've been able to do
We're working on. We just got to put the hand wash sink in, and yes. Yes.
Where's that going to go?
In the kitchen, or not the kitchen. It's a catering room.
So people. I didn't.
No.
I don't think people ever thought about that. Are they talking about you washing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The staff serving the food.
Yeah, but you have a sink in there, don't you? In the back, in the kitchen.
No.
Just the bathrooms.
Oh, so you never really got finished. That kitchen really never got finished.
No.
Do you think it might one day, or?
At the expense if we do anything to make it anything like a kitchen, it's got to be a commercial kitchen, the same as in a restaurant, which is over the top expense, and we can't really justify spending $100,000 to $150,000 for the little use you're going to get. Then the permits, and you got to have the fans and everything done.
Oh, exactly.
Cleaned out twice a year and inspected and all that. It just.
Now, did you have any investors that helped you out with that? Because as you say, it's very expensive. Because it's not just ordinary. They're not just ordinary, kitchen appliances. I mean,
No,
you have to.
it's everything is got a good price tag to it. Yeah, when I first started, I did have a gentleman that owns a restaurant in Norfolk help me out, and I was fortunate enough to be able to pay him back. And then 2 years ago, I took on a full-time partner, Glenn, who used to own a restaurant in Walpole called Clyde's. So he came on board at the Gavel.
Oh, Clyde's on Route 1.
Right. He was there for 17 years. And he's been a great partner of mine. Like you mentioned, there's so many different things with a restaurant between invoices and billing and all. So that's really his thing. So he kind of handles that side of the business, and I handle more of the day-to-day.
Are you there most nights?
Mostly days. Yeah.
Now, here's a question. Actually, it might be better asked of a chef, but I've often wondered how you know to have enough for everybody on a given night with all the choices.
Right.
Because you don't want to go out and say, we don't have any more of that. So
Right.
how in the world do they?
You get a good feel for it. It's pretty consistent, especially at the Gavel after 7 years. You kind of know, how many steak tips you have to prep and the salsa and all that. But yeah, he preps for 2 days, and we get pretty much daily deliveries.
And so then, is some of the food you can use the next day?
Yeah. So a lot of it's prepped up and refrigerated, and then goes on the line.
Or put it into another dish?
Yeah. Yeah, we try and utilize a lot of different ingredients.
So then sometimes, how does Jill, so Jill actually tells you how much she needs? That's what she likes to know ahead of time? I mean, do you...
Well, once Kevin gives me a number...
consistent.
Yeah, once Kevin gives me a number, I kind of know if it's, 45 or 50, how many, what that represents in trays. So, each full tray is roughly 40 people, depending on what's in it, so...
Is that some sort of a standard in the restaurant business of how much?
I might have just made that up. I think a full tray is roughly 40 people. A half tray is 20. It's kind of what I go by. Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks very much for coming on. It's really been very interesting.
No, thanks for
and
having me.
I didn't know I would have had you on by yourself.
Oh,
but
no,
thank goodness Kevin pulled you in
I think
because
you was wonderful. Yeah.
Kevin pulled you in because I thought you lived in Rentham, and I thought, well, I'm not going to very well go over to that guy that has the restaurant in Rentham. He probably lives in Rentham, or goodness knows where. He's not going to want to, come over.
Yeah.
All the way over to Norfolk,
Nope,
to do a show
down the road. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, listen, thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you, Kevin, as always.
Thank you.
Okay, you've been watching Norfolk Notables. I'm Anne-Marie Battistone. My guests were Jonathan Cox, who's the owner of the fabulous Gavel over in Rentham, and Kevin Roche, who is one of the principals, and so many other things that he does. I don't need to mention them, but one of the principals over at the community supper. So we're going to leave a little, there'll be a little announcement at the bottom of one of the screens on how you can come to let Jill know that you'd like to come one of the nights, to the supper. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.